All right, so now what we're going to go over is angles and what I consider the avenues of approach, the ways of actually freaking engaging, all right? Because there's a lot of misconceptions on what is proper. There's a lot of things that have been accepted that I kind of disagree with as being effective or proper ways of engaging your opponent. So now, what I have here, we're going to have both of these guys kind of square up, showing their stances. When you're here, what you'll see a lot of times is, as you're facing your opponent, a lot of times we will run our offense straight in, and we'll start punching, and now you see this, you're standing right over your opponent's offense, so it's coming right back at you. You see this? So now when you're looking at your opponent here, this is not initiating your offense. You're just initiating an exchange, okay? So what we want to avoid at all times is trying to initiate that exchange. Now we're going to get into what we look at, and that is how to create the positional advantages, okay? So if my opponent's offense is coming right here, this is where it's hot. This is where all of the danger is going to be. This is fire. And this right here, this is fire. So now, if I'm coming off of here and I take a half step and place one half step in, go, boom. Now what I've done is I keep this alignment. This is why I was saying when we move to the left, we move to our jab, you don't want to have this foot trailing here, boom. Because now what you've done is you've placed this foot to the outside where you think you have an advantage to get into this angle, but you're standing right in line with this jab. So as you hide your foot, look at that. Now you have the advantage because you can reach your opponent and he's still in here. You're out of range. The only way he has a shot is if you square up and bring this foot here. So you're always wanting, this is where when we learn the true boxer stance, how we want to always hide that foot from your opponent. That way, anything that he wants to score, he has to come through your jab. So you're always looking for those angles to get in. Now, when you're here, face the camera. When you're here, you have your opponent right here. What you're realizing is there is an angle of approach right here behind his jab. Here. Now, when we also go in and start looking at coming from the right side, there's another angle of approach right here. So now by stepping down to the right, from here, if I have my opponent here and I take this little half step to the right, boom, I'm right here. And I have the ability to score off of that angle. That's what we're looking for. I'm not trying to challenge his offense. Everybody wants to come straight in here and challenge your opponent's offense, and then you call yourself moving your head and being slick with it, but you're really not, because you're running into the strength of what your opponent does. Okay? Angles are very, very important and very, very effective. Now, I know I'm going to catch some heat for this, but I'm going to tell you what I don't like to teach is the whole head movement as a defense or as a decoy to start your offense. Stop that. I don't teach it simply because it's too easy to counter, all right? And I'm gonna let you in on something. The only reason that they do this, the only reason that this is so effective is because you're not moving your feet. It's the only reason it's even effective. Because if I don't want you to hit my head and I move my feet, my head comes with me. All right? The fact that I'm not moving my feet is the only reason that I want to sit in here and move my head so that you don't hit me. But if I can stand in here, and the key to this is by moving my head, it's only effective when my opponent is right here where I started off. Because what you're doing when you're moving your head is that you are understanding where the punches are coming from. And you're moving to duck and dodge when they're coming from your opponent. The minute your opponent decides, I'm out of here, and he shifts over and you're doing this, your head movement doesn't matter because you're only being able to defend the shots that are coming from here. So if he steps over and runs his offense from here, your head movement has now been nullified. And like I said, it's too easy to counter. This is why I don't bother to even teach it. I don't bother to make that such an important element of the game, because if you reach an opponent that understands how movement and motion is very important in their game, your head movement will actually be a key for your opponent to freaking level off on and run his offense. Okay? And it makes you more of a target than anything. And that's what we want to always eliminate. Okay? When you're in here, you have a choice. Like I said before, you have a choice. You got to be a target or you can be a weapon. Nobody approaches a weapon. All right? So you want to constantly come back into weapon mode more than target mode. And you can pay attention to that by looking at your opponent. If your opponent has two choices, he's either going to take aim or he's going to take cover. And depending on what your opponent does, whether he's firing on you or whether he's repositioning, trying to freaking stay away from you, let you know what you look like. If you're taking all of these shots, you made yourself a target. Adjust that and get out of it, right? Now, this is what I wanted to also, look at this. All right. A lot of people will do this going to the right. Now, where's your opponent? Right here. So why would you take a linear approach to going to the right? Touch me here. Take a step over. Touch me here. Take a step over. Well, you did. No, I ain't what you did. I ain't what you did.
I know, I came in. First time I came in. Now
the last time you went straight across here.
I went straight across.
Yeah, you went from here. You went straight across. I'm like, how you gonna touch me from there? You have me? Yeah. So now, the thing that we have to pay attention to. Let's get the moves. Let's understand how the moves work, right? But we have to apply them to the workspace. The work that you want to get done is over here. So to look real cool making the moves and you're clear across the ring, it's hard to get the work done. You feel me? So all of what we're doing is learning how to move. Now you adjust it according to where your opponent is and where you want to get the work done. So when you're here, if I'm going to be moving here, boom, that's it. That's it. You make sure you keep that step. You do it correctly, but you place it correctly. You got it? And it all works. It makes it so much easier. He's moving his hips. That's it. And you make him feel uncomfortable. So when you come here, once you cross this, and a lot of the MMA guys will understand this, once you come here, take that step over, right? Boom, you're in this angle. You got this angle right here. That's the equivalent of passing the guard on the ground. Mm-hmm. So now you can start being a lot more aggressive because there's less things to prohibit you from going in and getting certain things because his guard isn't up, right? So his guard is really here. So by taking that step, now you have actually passed his guard. You can be aggressive. You see? And that's what we're looking for. Getting in, passing the guard, and then just being aggressive and going to work. Be crisp on the step over. Like when you're coming over here, because what's happening here is when you're coming over this way, you're stepping with this foot. Mm-hmm. As opposed to stepping with this foot and coming over. When you come in here, push. From that.
This way.
There you go. So this stays, because you never want, here's what I want you to go real slow, step with this foot, just step, stop. What you've done is brought this way. You see that? Your body is coming out that way. So now if I'm in here, come back, and you run that same move, stepping with this foot, I come right down the pipe on you. You open that for me. Now, push off with the front foot and do the exact same thing. There's nothing here. You see the difference?
Okay. Now I gotta adjust myself to memorize it that way.
Because people don't understand, they leave that open by doing that. If it gets to the point and you have an aggressive fighter or a smart fighter, or he can think, even if he doesn't have all the tools, but he knows how to think, and he says, I can't do anything with this dude once he gets over here. Right? So if he says, if this dude starts moving with a punch, and you're moving with this foot first, then he comes off the bat and you're beat before you ever finish that move. If you push with this foot first, even if he does this, he's nothing there. This is already scarred. So the form And the minute freaking elements of it are extremely important. You know what I'm saying? To get it done, because you can say, I'm doing what you taught me, coach. The hell you're not. So, no, I mean, it's just those little things, and dialing them in is the biggest difference in the world on whether it works or it doesn't. And you got to get it from an overall view of it and says, I'm going to the right. I'm doing like you said. You said going to the right was, you know what I'm saying, such a great tool. Why am I getting hit every time I go to the right? You can go to either side you want in almost any situation, as long as you do it right. You know, I mean, when you look at the choreography of the game, everybody is taught that at any point, my opponent goes to this side, I turn to this side. All right? Anytime he goes back, I step forward. You know, then he goes this way, then I dance around this way. It's like we learn to dance, and everybody knows the moves. You feel me? So now when we go in here and we get away from that, like I said, everybody's looking at you to come this way. Push off this foot. Keep this in front of you. And just step down. Keep this rifle on me. Go. Oh, look at that. So this is what you're looking for. When I say to use the rifle, make that at the front of your mind. So now I say this. If you honestly had a rifle on me here, and you step at the front foot, go. This goes right here.
Okay.
You understand? So now as you're moving, you move your body as if you have to stay aimed in, the sights have to stay, the crosshairs have to stay on your opponent. So you move accordingly. As opposed to when you get out of the way and come back and fight it. You understand? And that's what everybody is doing, is they're thinking, then punching, or moving, then punching, moving, then punching. That's where the whole artistry of the game is lost. Because if you're moving and punching, you're not boxing, you're just moving and punching. Once you learn to move and punch, now you're boxing. Nobody is really, I'm not gonna say nobody, but on the average, they're not teaching boxing. They're teaching well-timed moving and punching. And if you get in there with a guy who understands boxing and understands how I can move and punch, have that two-man relay working for him, have a driver, have a shooter, and have them working in sync, he'll beat a mover and puncher disguised as a boxer all day. And that's the key to this game that a lot of people are missing. You feel me?